Okay, this is Conspiracy Broadcasting Network, where I broadcast a conspiracy slash COINTELPRO program that is foundational on cyberstalking, which is the common denominator. This has been going on since I was a child, where it was going on covertly, and then as I became older into an adult, going on to a master's program, they opened up this overt campaign of mass anarchy, best described as COINTELPRO. Um, an intelligence community would best describe that as misdirect, discredit, neutralize, those verbs and terms. I should say uh, lots of gaslighting, prophylactic conversation, which is referenced by KGB type tactics, um, personal injury, battery. It's just whatever it takes, basically. It's anarchy, verbatim, terrorism, warfare, where basically you're followed everywhere you go. Your physical being is tracked everywhere you go. In your house, everything is bugged, everything is tapped, everything is surveyed, okay, everything is recorded. It's persistent keystroking and key logging of your laptop, persistent laptop cyber stalking and harassment. And on this particular vlog, 106, I believe, I'm going to update what's been going on since last vlog. Um, so I believe, if I'm correct, last vlog, I talked about a lot of stuff that I think encompassed over an hour. And I'm going to make things a little bit more succinct and try my best to keep it organized a little bit better. And I realized that in order to tackle some of the courtroom things, I'm going to need more terabyte space. So I went and purchased an 8 terabyte, which is all, part of the consequences of being involved and being a target. Um, and so this whole cyber stalking thing and documentation thing has been, resulting in me basically getting all of these terabytes in external hard drives. And then you have some third party organization slash people monitoring my file transfers. And what they do is they'll wait for me to get all of the important information, and maybe like all the pertinent videos, pertinent audio, pertinent pictures, whatever is inculpatory, essentially. They'll wait for me to do all the work to organize it and then consolidate it into one file. Then they'll go through and they'll erase the file with all the organized dates, incidences, and they'll just go through and erase it. Okay. I've given these external thumb drives to police officers in the past, telling them to do an investigation. I don't want it to, stop, leave me alone, all this shit, right? All the things that a human is supposed to do civilly, okay? I've done all of it. It doesn't work, okay? It's literally anarchy. So from last vlog, it's still the same thing. Anarchy, okay? Just doing whatever it takes. I've got vehicles following me around still. I have the instances where the beginning of last week, basically right after my vlog, I was going in my cabinet. And in my kitchen cabinet, I like to store some of those old school vintage mason jars. And I'll drink out of them. I'll save them and drink. And so those mason jars, I'll put them on the top shelf and on the middle shelf. But I also keep my dry beans and my lentils and my quinoa on that shelf. And for some reason, I opened the door, and one of the bags tilted a little bit, caused the glass to hit against the door, and the glass just broke. It was the craziest thing too, because when the glass broke, the pieces came down from the second shelf and punctured like one of the veins on my arm, or excuse me, veins on my hand, and then lacerated my thumb. And I don't understand, like, the speed and the nature and the kinetic energy of it just didn't equate. So I had to be exceptionally sharp. Long story short, I didn't have to apply a tourniquet, but almost. But I'm fine. But I knew that when I did that, what they'll do is they'll survey the things that's going on in the house, and then one or two things are going to populate. And sure enough, I already knew um, that evening I was not going to go to the gym, because I knew that that was going to be on their buffet and their tool list of harassment. They're going to take that instance inside your own house, right? And what they'll do is they'll lay something. Here's a tactic that they did, but here's other tactics that they will use. Okay. Number one, they knew that you dropped a cup or something. So what they'll do is they're going to take somebody that's in front of your driveway and drive by. They're going to throw a broken glass down right in front of your driveway. Okay. When you go to anywhere in your transit where there's not broken glass, within 24 to 48 hours, there's going to be broken glass in transit to where you're going or back, guaranteed. And they love to do this. Back when I was working as a paramedic, okay, they would do stuff like this all the time. Just like I said at Shoals Ambulance, I'm starting to get into avocado guacamole dip. I start working and doing some training with them. And I go into their common quarters, and someone makes sure to throw the trash out and then lay a nice little guacamole dip can right on the top of the trash can. Leave it there by itself, knowing that it's right by the front door and you got to walk by it. And I could verify that on my. I could verify that. Whoops! I could verify that on my grocery list. Right? I can go back to my Walmart grocery list and verify that. 24 hours later, whatever, they're going to do something. So what happened was I decided that I was going to go not that evening to the gym. I'm going to go in the morning. But they know where I'm going to be. And sure enough, what happened? I go to this one gym a lot. And the benches are never like this. But you know what they did? They made sure not to clean up whatever protein shake or whatever was there on the bench. And they left these rings, these cut rings, all over the bench. The only little portable little bench, the cushion on it, in my proximity. Been to that gym many times. Never been around. That's never been like that. Okay. So I had to deal with that. Okay. Again, saturating the areas of your privilege, saturating the area. I'm paying just like everybody else is paying a membership, right? And I'm being harassed there every time I go. But it doesn't matter about that, because I could be going to school. It's the same thing. I could be going to the grocery store. It's the same thing. I don't go to the grocery store anymore. I don't walk in the grocery store. I don't drive to the grocery store. I get my stuff delivered here, even though it costs money. Okay, because I go through this abuse all the time. And ever since I've been sticking to myself and I'm away from my job now, my nursing and EMS, and I don't have to go through the abuse of grocery shopping all the time. Okay. I don't go through that abuse. All of a sudden, my recall is coming back. All of the things that were weighing on my head, I no longer have to see it. I don't have to think about it. And all of a sudden, my mental clarity is coming back. And I don't have the brain fog that I used to have. Okay. I don't do any tenants anymore. Every tenant has done their job, and their purpose has been to vandalize in the house and create chaos in the house. Every single one. Guess what? You can go find another home. You can go find another refuge. Not here. 18 years I've been allowing these things to happen. Guess what? No more. And again, that's a consequence. So now I have to lose income in order to have a peace of mind. Just like I have to walk away from nursing and lose income to have a peace of mind. I have to go away from EMS and lose income for a peace of mind. And I have to just keep giving myself away and losing income and scraping by just to have a peace of mind. Okay. So that's what they did with the cup. Within 24 hours, I knew it was coming. I even said it out loud. I said, I'm not going to the gym because I know it's on the buffet and it's going to be something about the fucking cup. And if it wasn't that, the rings on the cushion, you know what it would have been? It would have been them setting the fucking cup right by where I'm at and then knocking it over and then grabbing it and doing this. They would wait for me to walk by, and someone there with their little gym cup would have been sitting it right there by them. And they would have walked by and either tapped it with their foot or hit it with their hand by accident or act like they tipped it over while they're exercising. And then they'll pick it up real quick. Just to mock you within 24 to 48 hours. It happens. Okay. You go to sip a drink of water at the fountain, which I never do anymore. But back in the day, like 10 plus years ago, I would, before we learned about all the nanoplastics. And you go to just dab your mouth. So when you turn, someone's going to be peeling out of that locker room doing this the second you go to do this. Anything and everything that they can figure out about you that's patternable, they mock you and they harass you with any mannerism that they can find that you do. And if they're not mocking you, they'll just sit there and talk about it in third person, or they'll just sit there and have a conversation about maybe how you tilt your head a little bit to the side whenever you're listening to somebody. So the latest thing that's been the harassing pattern is every time I'm going to cook something, I've been cooking things either on the stove or in the oven. And every time I do that, I'm going back to my office and I'll sit down, but I know in the back of my mind, I have to go back to the kitchen and make sure I don't burn something, or I make sure to pull it out. And what these guys are doing is they're waiting for me to go away to one end of the house, and then they're going to call me. And one of the latest calls has a phone number 304-520-3940. And a couple other ones are 562-286-9122 and 208-268-1781. So someone's dishing out my phone number. Even though I blocked these people, I'm getting these push phone calls. And the way it works is it's never a ring. It's just a spoof. So you're getting pushed the number and it gives a notification that you missed the call. It never really rings for a period of or a duration of 10 seconds or more. It just pushes it like a text and you get the missed call deflection. But they're doing this every single time, letting you know and intimidating you that we're watching where you're moving in the house and we're going to push and use your electronics to abuse you. Okay. On the 23rd, recall, I believe on blogs 103, 104, and 105, I think 2 of those out of 3, I was talking about HIPAA and personal health information. And what happens is when you're catching their problems and their harassment and their sabotage, when you catch it, okay, they want to be spiteful and then reapply more abuse through the same means. Like, oh, you didn't fuck up, so we got to wait. We're going to figure it out. We're going to get you to fuck up on this on this whole health information / cybersecurity thing, right? We're going to get you. It's the same thing, right? all this spiteful stuff, they're always trying to get you to mess up. So on the 23rd, days later, after the whole PHI thing, a whole week or plus later, right? Week and a half or whatever, I start applying for jobs. And I talked to you about how the data that you put on some of this software and the data that you put on some of your tablets and your EMRs and stuff like that, what's actually going on is you have this third party who's watching what you're doing, and then they're going back and tampering with it. So I've never accrued this before or experienced this, but there was a false job opportunity, okay, which required your personal information. It was set up in a fashion that it was extremely intricate, and I've never ran into this before. Long story short, it was with a multi-million, probably small billion-dollar healthcare organization, and when I went to their website to verify some few things, because I did have a little tingling sensation, my senses were a little tingly, and every time I get these sensations, I'm always right. Same thing with the sensations about family, the sensations about friends, everything and anything that I have a tingling sensation about, I've always been right. So it doesn't matter at face value, the narcissism that you're told that things aren't real, or when you're told disinformation, you don't believe a thing that comes out of their mouth. From the police, you don't believe a thing. From the judge or the magistrate, you don't believe a thing. You don't believe a thing from nobody. Your family, your friends, nobody. It is all trash until you have verified it. And sure enough, I go over to this website formally, and what does it say on their website? There's been this and this happening, and there's been fraud that we're aware of that is purporting to be our organization. Unfortunately, it is not. Call this number to verify that the HR representative who is speaking to you is true and authentic, to validate, the experience, yada, yada. So here's the deal, is I ended up giving them information that I shouldn't have and went through this process that I shouldn't have, and basically got bamboozled on this job application, essentially, right? And so I had to call them and go through this process of verification. Then I had to call my bank and go through that process of verification, yada, 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 okay? So that's what I had to deal with on the 23rd, okay? On the 27th, I'm getting 2 back-to-back spam calls from 2 different organizations that I'm not familiar with. Today, I had another spam call, and these calls are coming in when I leave the phone, go to the kitchen, or vice versa. And it's been happening when I'm cooking most of the time, okay? So they know that I'm cooking, and they want to abuse you and harass you to get you to just say, throw your hands in the air and say, fuck it, and chill out, basically. And then just sit there and just get all fucking, and just get all worked up over them cyber stalking you. They think that they're going to get you to just sit there and just waddle in the fucking cyber stalking, right? And neglect the stove or something, right? So then today, this morning, I was studying, actually 3:30. So at 3:30, they're using these semantics. I was studying at 3:30 this afternoon. They're using semantics when I'm in my office. I'm in my office, I'm trying to certify for some things. I'm doing some work. I'm looking at my laptop, and at exactly 3:30, I'm looking at the screen, and 3 of those black windows come up. 1, 2, 3, and then go away. Okay? And they wait until 3:30. Okay, so all of a sudden, I have these 3 misdemeanors, and now all of a sudden, I have all these semantics going on with my laptop using these black boxes. Okay? Additionally, in 103 and 104 or 105, I discuss how they're using the IT and the the laptop or the desktop, or if you're in nursing, okay, or in a medical ward, a bay, or in a corridor, and you are doing maybe, I don't know, some type of clinicals or observation. Really, you shouldn't be touching anything in observation. But if you're in clinicals doing rotations and they ask you to go open up a chart and this is how things work, or do, and see what this says and yada yada, and you go to that computer, this screen, as you approach it, will turn black and they'll sleep it. Okay. So in the last 24 hours, they've been fucking around with me on my laptop. And they're just watching. When I turn towards the laptop, they'll sleep the screen. When I turn like I'm going to go grab it, they'll sleep the screen. So they've been fucking with the laptop. Okay. I've been dealing with that the past 48 hours. Regarding the yard, I said that I would upload videos of this guy. I don't know, trying to confront me on something. I have no clue. Still don't know what it's about. Haven't heard anything. Don't know anything. Don't really want to know about anything. And I've got a 8 terabyte external hard drive coming in, and we're going to have lots of space so that we can consolidate information and continue this journey. But we're going to begin a chain of custody with the court is what I'm going to try to do. And long story short, there's a neighbor who's getting their yard mowed by a professional company. And what they'll do is they'll take rocks and then they'll take metal and they'll throw it in my yard. Okay. So that's what they've been doing. Hold on one second. All right. That's enough. You don't do that, champ. Stop. Where are you going? Huh? Where are you going? That's enough. Don't do that. We don't do that. So my dogs, they're just dogs. They enjoy each other's company. And I've got a partition that separates the two, but they're trying to get at each other. Long story short, what was I talking about? IT, sleeping computers. So when you go to this computer screen, they're going to sleep that. And then what they'll do is they'll have a supervisor or your preceptor or whatever person that you're tallied with, right? They're going to have them come up and and they're going to have a conversation with you like nothing's going on. Like, oh, okay, just put your password in, yada yada, and then all of a sudden your password doesn't work, and the whole time they're just locking the computer. It has nothing to do with you, and they're trying to get you to believe that you're fucking up. Okay, so that's how that works. And now they're using my laptop to do the same thing, my blue laptop, when I'm in my office, and they've been messing around with that too, sleeping the screen. Okay. Okay. Here's something that's important. So what I'm studying in my office today, and I get on a research topic, how to discern the usage and context of surgical manipulation. And the key here is I'm looking for, in the context, with or without manipulation, okay, is the topic that I was looking at. And when I'm looking around 3:30 and I'm looking for this subject, with or without manipulation during a surgical correction, that's when the 3 black screens come up at 3:30 p.m. Okay, so in real time, I'm studying, okay, some information about the usage and the context of surgical manipulation, whether or not it was done with or without manipulation of, let's just say, the fracture, okay, or whatever may have you. And while I'm searching for this information, it just so happens to be around 3:30 this afternoon, and then that's when the 3 black boxes pop up, right at exactly 3:30 as I'm looking at the topic of manipulation, with or without. So these next door neighbors throwing a bunch of hard objects and solid objects in the yard. I got a bar that they threw in the yard, like a metal bar that they threw in the yard. This was like before and after my arrest in order to harass me even further. We talked about the cups on the Planet Fitness bench. The day after, I tipped over a cup in my kitchen. And then finally, I have resolve of the water being poured in my backyard. They fixed that, okay, which I have, I believe, around like vlog 100 or something like that. And when I talk about it, I say that the problem's been going on for a year at this point, over a year. And it's grown up to 4 feet. It's also saturated my entire backyard. I had like 30 yards of backyard, and the water was all the way up to the foundation persistently, but I only had a small gap of yard of 5 yards before it went into the jungle and the weeds that grew. So all wintertime, when all that stuff died down, a bunch of freaking varmints took hold. And I looked at my tally board. I caught a total of 17 mice, and I snatched up the mama. Gosh, I think it was like a week and a half ago or something like that. I finally snatched, or maybe a week ago, I got the mama. She was big, and she had udders and everything. And I finally got, I put the old Victor on there, the old Victor mousetrap with some peanut butter, one and done. Took care of the whole colony, and I haven't had any since. But it's simple fact that, there was celebrities that just passed away from the hantavirus. And so I had to deal with that. And little mouse turds and all that shit, all in the laundry room. And I've got a Honda push mower, and it's got enough horsepower after I inspected it, because I haven't looked at the horsepower numbers and the specs in a while. But I put that puppy in 3-inch height, 3.5-inch height, and seen what it can do. And surprisingly, as long as the grass is dry and you allow it to dry out throughout the day and then cut it in the evening, you can kind of get some work done. So I knocked it down on 3.5, and then I got to go over it again. But I was able to get it knocked down without it bogging down, except for this stuff that looks like eelgrass, basically. It gets roped up in there, but I'm able to knock it down pretty good on 3.5 inches, and then go back and cut it down to 2 like the rest of the yard. But the water has cut like these little trenches and like these little holes, and there's been moles, I think, that's been going through there. So it's not like the yard that it used to be, nice and smooth and everything. And you got to basically cut that thing like it's a plowed field. Like with a tractor, you need bigger like tires, You can't use regular lawnmower tires now, or push mower tires, I should say. So it's a chore in the making. You got to go back through the whole yard, and you got to beat it down with a flat or a flat nose or a spade shovel so that the ground is flat. Okay, but long story short, thank God, we knocked down a lot of the problems that I knew would ensue. 1 being the varmints, and 2 being the moisture up under the house. So finally, we're starting to get dried out. So, that's what I'm dealing with. And susceptibility to shit like hantavirus. I got to go back in the laundry room, and I got to figure out how to get all the fucking mouse droppings and get that shit out of there. And it's just a mess. And at the same time, you got the police and everybody following you and stalking you and doing all this shit with the cyberstalking. right? They want you to be civil and be polite and act like you're just a regular citizen, and they think that you have to defend yourself. Okay? And you told them stuff was going on months in the making, months before you went and called them, years before you went and called them. They don't give a damn. Okay? They don't care. So that is this week. I'm keeping it sweet and simple, and I don't have anything else to really say. That's this week.